What is the truth about fear? Fear is a hindrance. Fear literally stops you from taking the opportunities in life that are meant for you. But because we listen to our inner critic, and sometimes not just the inner critic that we already have stuck in here, is also the people around us, our family members, sometimes our friends, or just people that we keep around as the influencers that we have typically around us on a daily basis. And they're the ones who keep us in fear, feeling that we cannot make decisions, or we cannot go in a certain direction, because if we do, we're going to fail. And sometimes we give those situations, people, a voice, and we allow it to influence us, even though we know that staying stuck, not taking action, not making a decision that you are meant for more is the reason why you stay stuck for a very long time, and sometimes just stuck for life. But what that does is the regret is so much deeper and so much painful than fear could ever be, because fear is literally false evidence appearing real. So that means your reality is telling you that that fear is real until you challenge it. Because if it never happened before, why do you believe it's going to happen? And I say this because I've been in situations that I thought, because of fear, I need to be here, I need to be stuck, whether it is on a job, on an opportunity, in a position, and I wanted to apply for something else. And because of what someone else said, made me second guess, until I started listening to my own voice and my own intuition that I must go. And the same goes in relationships. Making the biggest decision that I had to make at one point, which I have absolutely zero regrets, is when I had the decision to leave a long-term relationship. But fear was keeping me stuck there for a very long time. And what I felt is that I lost years, I lost time, I lost respect, I lost myself because of fear. And the only person I can say to blame is myself, because most of those fears are self-imposed fears. So it's a self-imposed limitation, because we always come up with this loop and we feel that past mistakes will inform of future events. And because maybe it happened in the past where there was a failure, or you saw it from someone else, a friend that went through a situation or a relationship and didn't do very well, we start to think that that will also happen to us. And because of it, we don't take steps in any direction. Is that where you are? Because I am someone that have been through so many things that I would say would scare me. But what made me feel stronger and what made me recognize that the only person who keeps putting those barriers and kind of just compounding the barriers is myself. Because I haven't recognized at that moment that fear, it was all these movies that play in my mind as to what is actually going to happen. And because of it, just what plays in my mind is what makes birth to this huge fear. It makes it bigger than it really is. But you know what is the antidote of all of that? The antidote of fear is really in taking action, because fear will kill your relationships. Fear will pretty much limit your ability to thrive at work, because if you are afraid of going after a position or applying for a job because of fear of failure, or the fact that you feel that you don't have enough skills, even though when you don't recognize the skills you gain sometimes in a specific role, not in a role that you are, but fear is keeping you stuck to feel that you need to go to school again, you need to get another accolade, you need to get another certification, another, maybe you feel that you need to go back to school. Instead of understanding what are the skills that I have that I've compounded that stops me from being afraid, because I got it, because I have the tools and I have the skills to be successful. But because I'm listening to everyone else saying, well, I have a master's degree, well, I have a PhD, and they are still stuck, you think they should have been further and not me. Because if they already got that degree, how is it they're not moving? But guess what? Fear is the main reason why a lot of folks who are very smart get stuck. Very smart people sometimes get really stuck in certain situations because they get afraid of failure. So that's the thing. There's so many reasons that people have a fear of failure, whether it is a failure or a fear of success. It all feels the same. is a fear that hinders you. And sometimes success is just like that potential of, I will do so well, but who am I standing to lose? Or what am I standing to lose? And sometimes it's losing maybe my friends, maybe my environment, my community, the people around me that will not feel that we connect anymore. And because of that, we want to be stuck. We want to play small. We want to dim our lights to feel that we are enough for that situation, because we fear of being alone, fear of being abandoned. But guess what? All of this fear also comes from the fact that at some point in your lifetime, you learn by society, by your family, by your parents, by your siblings, that this is how we do things, and otherwise it will look different, or we will look in a way where you're going to feel abandoned. Maybe because if you're someone who comes from some kind of abandonment, maybe your parents left, or maybe you didn't feel loved or cared for, or somebody in your life did not treat you well, where you have to feel on survival mode all the time. Those reasons may be the very biggest reasons why you feel stuck and unable to take action in any direction, because even confronting your past, confronting your fears is so scary that you choose to be in whatever place you are, knowing that you're not having progress, knowing that every day you feel that you live in the same day, maybe even the same problems, and yet you're not having any progress. Because I mean, once problems are a sign of life. I mean, everyone has problems, but you shouldn't have the same problems all the time. That means at some point, your skills have to compound it to a level where you can take care of small little things, whether it is relationship where you identify how to communicate better, whether it is about loving someone and identify their love language, or how to work with them in a way so that they feel cared for, so that you care of yourself. But then there's this other area that sometimes we don't have that evolution to really understand that those fears that are coming up is also because of what happened to you in the past, because of that fear of failure. Maybe that parent that abandoned you, or maybe that parent that didn't show you love. You feel that you're not enough. That's one of the areas that a lot of folks don't recognize, that fear comes from not enoughness, feeling that you're not enough for the position, you're not enough for the relationship, you're not enough for whatever. And because of that, you want to dim your light. Even when you feel that you are meant for more, you can feel physically, you can feel mentally, but you feel that you must be stuck because the unknown, even possibility, you think is going to be something worse than what you have. And when people don't know, they get stuck. But what if you actually chose to be braver, to know that the walls that are sometimes protecting us are actually limiting us? Those walls that you think are protective of you, they actually are limiting your ability to see beyond what's there. And those walls are the very biggest hinders that you may have right now, that is stopping you from taking action, from being your full self, your authentic self, from being that person who can thrive. Because trust me, I've been in many positions to say that I had fear of in school and having to speak another language, fear of being on a bus and not someone bullying me because they had all these negative thoughts about me without even getting to know me, fear of what someone's going to say when I smile back then, when I still didn't fix my smile and it started to kind of hurt me, go through my heart, fear of so many hindrances until I went through it. And the key is, once you go through it and you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations to really get to know who you are, what comes out on the other side is someone that you won't recognize, but someone that you're going to realize that there's so much to do, so much that you can do to continue build that growth, to continue building that power, that self-power. Is the main reason why I have the mission of empowering career-driven women to get out of their own way, to reduce that limitation, that fear, that those pesky thoughts that you have that stops you from taking the next step because you think that you're not enough, you think that you are limited, you think that you have all these things that stops you from growth. But it's not you. It's the voices that you allowed in your head. It's the voices that you allow from your friends, from your colleagues, from maybe a partner who didn't want to see you grow, and yet you ate it up, you believed it, and then it dimmed your light. And then you're there stuck for decades, 2 decades, not realizing that one conversation, one comment, one analysis from someone who maybe didn't even matter all that much was enough to stop you for decades from having the growth and the glow that you could have gotten. But you haven't given yourself permission to test it out, or permission to recognize that you too can do hard things, that you can go through your fears and see who you are on the other side. I've done that through relationships, through work, through putting myself in tough situations, to having to deal with the most challenging conversations you can ever have at work, only to see that growth in me, that confidence, that leadership skill that everyone needs to gain the emotional resilience, the emotional intelligence that we all need as moms to get out of that, because we are role models. And with that, I want to say, as you let go of your fears, you build that role model mindset, because you don't want your kids to go through that process of being fearful of making decisions, fearful of becoming the best version of themselves because of what someone said, or what someone tried to hinder them to be, or what a bully may have said to them, and they could have believed. You want to be the one that shows them you don't have to believe in all of those things, because you are meant for more. Limitations is only here, and our brains are meant to keep us safe. That means they're meant to keep us in survival mode until you start to challenge it. To get from survival to thriving, you must challenge those thoughts. You must challenge those feelings of fear. You must challenge those feelings that are keeping you stuck where you are, maybe in that relationship that has already run its course, or maybe in a relationship maybe that you want to be in it, but you don't know how to have the right conversations because you don't know how to be vulnerable. Maybe you don't know how to tell someone your needs so they understand what it takes to take care of you, what it takes to connect with you, what it takes for you to feel connected. Maybe to continue to understand that the more you go through that fear, the braver you become on the other side. And when I think about bravery, my goodness, I go back to age 10 of me being brave enough to get out of the house when my parents, my mom didn't want us to get out of the house, and my siblings wouldn't get out of the house because we were in a war zone. We didn't have the food. We didn't have enough at home. And my 10-year-old self said, I need to go and look for something. And when I say 10 years old, I even keep thinking it was 10 years old, between 10 and 12. And I remember getting out of the house with bullets flying. I could hear the whistle of the bullets through my ears because we needed to get water. I needed to find food to bring back to my house because I was afraid of us going without food, because literally fear of not having enough to eat was a real thing. We had food scarcity. And when I think back of that brave girl that put a bag of corn on her back and ran to the house and was able to bring enough food for her family, that reminds me of who I am. And then when I'm stuck in fear mode, or when I am stuck in an indecision because I think fear is my hindrance right now, I remind myself of who I am. And I go back to that story to remind myself that I was in situations that were tough, and I had zero fear because food scarcity and knowing that my parents, my mom, my siblings, we would not be able to eat the next day was enough to say, I'm going to find a way out. I'm going to find a way out of the house so my mom doesn't see it, but I will bring something to show her so she can feel proud of me, that I too can contribute, that I too can put myself in tough, scary situations, because I was not afraid, because I was more afraid of everyone in my family suffering or not having food to eat than to go through situations. And I had that belief, that self-belief that I would come back alive and well. I put myself through it. I put myself through it anyways. And I couldn't be prouder of that little girl that did those things. And because of that, when I think about it, I remind myself of who I am, who I have always been. But sometimes I forgot because of what people said, or what I heard from someone else, what I heard from my past partner, what I heard from people that didn't realize that their own limitation were trying to be imposed on me. And honestly, that's what advice is like. Sometimes you ask for advice, but you're asking from people that haven't been there, from people that are still stuck, and they give you the advice based on their fear. And because of that, you stay stuck. But what if you were braver? What if you chose to be brave and take that next step to pursue growth for you, because you know that you're better than that, because you know that it matters for you, it matters that you grow, it matters that you get out of survival mode, it matters that you thrive, because you want to have you want to be the role model in your family. You are the Wi-Fi already. What kind of signal do you want to bring? Are you want to bring a bright signal that is actually helping your family to thrive, or are you having a weak signals where everyone is in survival mode? So just think about that. Who do you want to be? Because we have to develop the leader mindset. We have to develop the role model mindset. And role models are leaders. That means people that are brave, that are confident to go after what they want, because we have children to show who they need to be, how to be. They have a bigger, greater chance, 100% shot of becoming us, more so than becoming who we tell them to be. Who do you want them to be? Is that enough of a reason for you to choose to bet on yourself, to bet on you, to get off survival mode, to let go of fear and actually take that next step of whatever stuckness you're in? Maybe if you're stuck because you're not applying for the right job because you got scared, to go after what you want, maybe to just go and learn about interviewing skills, or maybe to put yourself in positions to learn how to communicate better. And if you're stuck in a relationship, it might be that you want to create better harmony in your relationship, unless you see that you are being bitten or you are in a place where you are actually getting hurt. Isn't it best to find a way to get out of that situation so you can begin to start thriving again, to pursue excellence, to pursue growth within yourself, because you're meant to have a brighter future. That way you're not stuck in the sameness, only to have regret 10 years, 20 years later, and feeling that your life was not well lived, or that you didn't give a chance to your children because they see the role model that you're not proud of. And that's who they are standing to become. Who do you want them to be? How do you want to be as a mom? How do you want to be as a leader? I hope that you think about that. My call to action will be bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. Focus on the things that you want to attain. Go after it. If it is that you need to go back to start to understand your strength, maybe exercise again, go back to the gym, gain strength, mental clarity. Whether you are starting to study again, get a coach, get a mentor, someone to show you the way, so that you understand the fear is meant to be on survival mode, not for you to live through your entire life. To choose bravery, to let go of the stories that are keeping you stuck, the stories that keep telling you that you're not good enough, to let all of that go because you're meant for more. That's the truth about fear. It will hinder you. It's meant to get you to push, to propel you to the next level. But as long as you get stuck on the other side because you're afraid of going through that door, you're going to remain stuck. Now imagine being stuck there for the next 10 years, only to realize that you missed your shot because you were stuck in fear mode. And by the time you take that shot, things have already changed and you feel so far behind because you're not taking that bet on yourself. But what if you do now? If you actually bet on yourself and you start to find reasons to feel better, reasons to be the role model that you are meant to be, can you imagine where you're going to be 10 years down the line? That's what I want you to think, that transformation of who you can be, because being a best version of yourself is real. Who you can be is the best version of yourself, because you are enough. You've always been enough, and you are whole, complete, and resourceful. But sometimes you just don't know how to get that resource out of yourself until you find someone that can help you. And I'm here if you want me to be part of your journey. I would love to be there. Take care of yourself. Mwah.